Welcome back, y'all. It's a No Bullshit Podcast. It's Kai.
Yes, Conklin.
Yeah, I'm Luke.
And hey, man, it's been a little minute. It's been a little, you know what I mean? It's been a little minute. So we're back. Life's been lifing, but we figure it being why not now come back and talk some ball. So I figure, I guess when you guys should be seeing this is before week 5 starts. So we'll give a little bit of our thoughts of how our teams are doing 4 weeks in. I guess Cochran, you can start us off.
Yeah, man. The Niners. It's been a hectic season so far. I mean, albeit we are 3-1. Which, to be honest, if you were to told me with all these injuries and not only my team, but like I'm pretty sure both of your teams, you got
The whole
the
league.
Chargers, Cowboys, everybody, right? If you were to told me I had all these injuries and we were still 3-1, I'm holding my hands up in the air. I'll take it. I'll take it, man. And yeah, we played the games we played was at Seahawks, at Saints, and then back at home the last two games were the Cardinals and the Jaguars. And with them two, all those four games, they were all pretty close games for the most part, one score games. And the one thing that showed me at least through the first first quarter of the season so far is that our defense is being able to keep us in games, right? Like last season, our defense was non-existent. Running game, pass game, everything. We were just getting fried. Let's just keep it buck. We're just getting fried everywhere. But now, with Robert Salah back, he's back and he had that whole thing with Liam Cohen, the Jaguars head coach. Not gonna get what happened, but things escalated a bit. But that's the type of energy that this team needs. A guy that's play oriented and fire that can just fire your guys up, right? But for the most part, the defense has been playing pretty well, especially for our rookies playing. Especially Stout, our nickel cornerback, is playing really well, and our emerging linebacker and D Winters. But on the offensive end, it's a whole nother story, man. It's a whole nother story. We got Mac Jones even starting the first two of the games, right, against the Saints and the Cardinals. And to be honest, he looked pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, he looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He's staying in within the structure of the offense, and he's taking care of the ball for the most part. He only in those for 2 games he threw four touchdowns and only one pick, right? And I'm pretty sure for one of the games he had like I think almost 300 yards or just under it or whatever. But yeah, to be honest, offensive line has been a problem for a long, long, long time, and I don't know why the team still, to neglect it. I don't know why. I guess we just look at Trent Williams as like, oh my god, save us. I don't know. But I'll say this. I've said this many times that our right tackle, what's his name? See, I don't even know. I forgot his name. See, but the right tackle that we have, he's McKivitz. That's his name. Yeah, McKivitz. He's actually been one of our better offensive linemen as of late. We actually extended him a contract to I think 15 mil a year, which is pretty much the starter level tackle. And he's been playing well on both sides. I know for both the run and the pass, but for the main problem is our interior offensive lineman. Pooney, he's having up and down games, but it's mainly our center and our left guard who has been just so bad. You look at the metrics, going to deep dive the analytics where they rank nearly dead bottom of the league.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not at the bottom, they're somewhere there, right? And it just shows because every time that whether Brock Purdy or Mac Jones is in a quarterback, they have to either find a way to extend the play or get it, just throw it away, just throw it somewhere, right? And yeah, I mean, and it goes to show that like when you don't have a good interior offensive lineman, especially in a Kyle Shanahan system, you're not able to run the ball. And that leads me to the next point with Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey, and Kai, I know you like your stats, man. So I'm gonna throw you some stats, right? So this year, right? He has 69 carries for 225 yards. That's 3.3 yards per carry, dog. 3.3 yards. And get this, through 4 games of the season, he has not hit more than 68 yards rushing or a rushing touchdown. And this is Christian McCaffrey we're talking about here, right?
We're not gonna get it done.
Yeah, and then but I'll say this though. On the other hand, when you look at 43 targets, 31 receptions, 305 yards, and 2 tutties, that's actually from receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at where that stacks up amongst the league, in terms of targets, that's ranked, I'm pretty sure, tied for second in the league in targets, both running backs and receivers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then when you look at receptions, he's ranked, I'm pretty sure, second, right behind Puka, right? And so it just goes to show that, like, and also in yards, he's ranked eighth among all receivers or whatever, right? So not only is he trying to get something done on the running game, but he's making himself available, as as we all know Christian McCaffrey is, as a pass catcher, in which I think that's later down the line, that's something that he could probably use to help extend his longevity of his career, being a pass threat. But yeah, it's literally been CMC or nothing for the most part.
Yeah.
And I will say that the other bright spot in our team so far is Ricky. Ricky Pearsall. He's been playing really well. When he's on the field. But these last 2 games, he's picking up these knee injuries where he's falling pretty hard on the ground, but it's just not cutting it right now. Even though he still has 327 yards, and I'm pretty sure ranked top 4, top 5 in terms of receiving yards. So that's still promising, but it's still a long way to go. It's just been really really ugly, But yeah, offense, defense, it's basically been the opposites for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but what's his name? We on Thursday Night Football, we're gonna play the Rams, and let's just say we don't have no Brock Purdy, no Juwan Jennings, or Ricky Pearsall. So I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of bad old lines, boy, let me tell you, what the fuck is going on in LA? It should classify as war crime. Like you said, I love my stats, right? This is actually sad. So, on an O line, there's typically 5 people that play. There's 5 starters, right? I want you to guess, of those 5 people, how many had a PFF grade higher than 50?
Probably one.
Mind
Probably
you,
just Slater.
No,
mind you,
Slater's out.
yeah, he's out. Oh, also did not qualify. I believe an average grade is 65. I'll answer that question for you. Only 2. Zion Johnson, who had a 60. He actually led the team, right? Mind you, 65 is average. And then second was Trey Pippins with 54.7. We had a motherfucker on his old line that had a PFF grade of 28. 28. I really wish I could share a clip, because there's literally a clip of Abdul Carter running right past him. Like, so with that being said, I mean, if similar to what Conklin said, like if you told me that the Chargers would be 3-1, coming into week 5 with 3 divisional wins, like I mean, I would say that you're lying, right? First of all, week 1 in Brazil, gotta play the Chiefs. That's always been kind of our Achilles heel every single year, has been playing the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I believe in the last 10 matchups, we've won 1 or 2 games. Like, that's, obviously, they've been on top of the NFL world. So, to come out of Brazil with a win, man, that I ain't gonna lie, bro, that shit was euphoric, man. So, bro, that was like my Super Bowl. I can't even hold you. We won that game. You know, Vegas, there's a lot of talk about them, rebuilding Pete Carroll, the whole nine. We take care of business there. And we come in, and honestly, the team that scares me the most in our division is the Denver Broncos. I feel like they match up very well with our team. Like that defense is scary, and we handle business there. So coming into week 4, playing the 0-3 Giants, you know, ev- all the signs of the world says you should be able to walk out of this with a dub. But something in the back of my mind said this is a trap game. 3-0 for the first time in like 20 years, playing against an 0-3 team. Nah. The football guys are not letting that happen. But the foolish fan in me, I was like, you know what? MetLife is not that far from me. Let me go attend that game. And to be honest, I mean, it was a great experience. If you can get to a football game and watch your favorite team play, I definitely suggest it. At least once out of the year if you can. Um, but it always sucks, for your team to lose, especially with you in attendance. But man, I mean, I can't necessarily say I'm surprised, really. Like the New York Giants have a very good defensive line. Coming into this game, we had two healthy starters, and they're arguably our two worst starters. Not even arguably, they are definitively our two worst starters, and they were the ones that were playing. So I just knew, okay, this is going to be an uphill battle. Like I know a lot of people, saw the record, had their conversation about where the Chargers stand in terms of rankings, Justin Herbert, MVP conversations, the whole nine. And with this loss, literally before I even left the stadium, I said to myself, I can see the vultures circling, right? Because there's been a lot of discourse over mainly my quarterback. You know what I mean? Where a lot of people, there's a conversations about where he lands in the top 10, this, that, and the third. So losing to an 0-3 team, he didn't have great stats. I already knew there were going to be conversations of, okay, let's pump the brakes. Maybe we said we had these conversations too early. But that's honestly, and not to sound like snobby or like I had my opinions better than those, but listen, if that is that if you watch that New York Giants game and walked away saying Justin Herbert is ass, listen, I have to question if you have eyes. Because when I tell you, he had no time, absolutely no time to go through any type of progression, any type of like it's a surprise. Like in that game we had my bad. Camera was acting funky.
Okay.
Um
Maybe lost you a
yeah,
little
we
bit.
had, we had two standout players. We had Amarion Hampton, our first round running back, which honestly, up until this point, he's been everything as advertised. I am very happy with Amarion Hampton. In the last two games, he has over 120 yards from scrimmage in both of those games. I believe also a touchdown in both of those games. Like he has been balling these last 2 years. I mean, these last 2 weeks, and then also Tuli Tuipulotu, 4-sack game. 4 sacks. Like, and listen, the Giants O line is nothing, to write home about, but holy shit. Like, not a lot of people could say they had 4 sacks in the game. So hats off to both those players. But one of the things that has been criminal, especially in this game, Greg Roman, I want to bring you up on murder charges or something to get you because the fact that Amarion Hampton was running this crazy on this defense and he only had 12 carries when your quarterback is every single time he drops back he has somebody in his face. The best way to tone down a pass rush is by running the ball, and I literally watched Amarion Hampton get tackled for a 3-yard gain and carry a man 15 extra yards. Like, what are we doing? Feed ate the ball. Like, especially in moments like this. And kind of to your point, Conklin, like when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, don't get me wrong, Christian McCaffrey is an amazing talent, right? Both rushing and receiving. But if you have to rely on your running back to be catching these passes, to be getting these targets, that tells you something. I don't have a lot of time to get this ball out of my hand. Let me just throw it to my check down. Like no
Exactly.
offense is mainly centered around throwing the ball to the running back. That's usually like the last resort. Just check down safety valve. So if that is your number one option, is just throwing it to your running back, that spells a problem, right? So you got two teams that are 3-1, and to be quite honest, when it comes down to the future, looking forward in these next couple weeks, man, it all
Yep.
just comes down to does the team we're playing have a good D line? If the answer is yes, we're probably going to lose.
Let me ask you a question, man, because I think that one of the craziest things that's been happening in sports in general, right? Load management. We don't want to tire these guys out. We don't want to give, especially when it comes to the running back position, we don't want to keep giving these guys so many carries. How do you feel about the loss of Najee Harris and how that's going to affect how your offense runs when it comes to how many carries you're going to give Hampton? Because, he's a rookie. I'm assuming that they didn't want to just completely give him like 15 carries a game and just kind of run them into the ground. Because I think the Chargers legitimately are going to be a lock for the playoffs. But that long term game of loss of losing a Najee Harris, that red zone presence, how do you feel like that's going to affect your team?
I mean, I feel like 100%. Like the coaching staff coming into the season wanted it to really be a 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? Like both running backs get about 12 to 15 touches a game and see how the game script goes. You know what I mean? Ride the high hand. I really do believe that that was the thought process going into it. Greg Roman has history of that. You know what I mean? Dating back to his time in Baltimore. So that didn't necessarily shock me or surprise me in week one, where, really the only reason why Marion Hampton started the season with getting so many touches was because of Najee Harris's injury in the offseason with his eye. So if everything was healthy, then for sure that was going to be a major part of our offense. And as the weeks went on, you saw Najee Harris play better. Like literally the game that he got hurt, I believe he was averaging close to 6 yards per carry against the Broncos. Like, so I definitely feel like that is a hit to what the team was trying to do. But if I'm being honest, like this is the reason why you draft the running back in the first round. Like I do believe that Amarion Hampton is of the caliber of running back to where he is a workhorse. I do believe that he has the talent to be a workhorse. So I'm not necessarily bummed out about it. I mean, I am, because obviously, what's better than one good running back too, right? But I believe if Marion Hampton stays healthy, like he's shown the ability to run the ball, catch the ball, and most importantly, pass protected block. So he really gives you no real reason to take him off of the field. So I do believe that he is of the talented back in this league to where, yes, I believe his talent deserves at least 20 touches a game. And I believe that is what's best for our team moving forward.
Yeah, and just real quick, just to piggyback off of Kai, and like by by having a guy like Najee Harris going down, it just ramps up his development for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, because now you just albeit throwing him into the fire, but sometimes throwing guys into the fire is where you test how that guy is really. You know, like if you're going to see how Hampton is when the Chargers is at their worst, well, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote worst, right? And if he's doing this, showing glimpses, especially in the Giants game at at the Chargers' worst, imagine when they have a fully healthy offensive line next year. You know what I mean? So it's like it's definitely going to be interesting how Hampton goes throughout the whole season, and who knows? He might be able to outpace Genti right now. So we'll see. We'll see.
So what about your boys, man? How you feeling, man?
Here we fucking go. Here we go, man. Alrighty. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys were 1-2-1, right? But I'm going to take this story far bit before, we even get to the beginning of the season. We already know. We know the drama. I'm wearing the drama. We lost Micah Parsons. Now, going into the season, we have to have had an uncomfortable conversation. What is this team going to look like without their best defensive player? We had no idea. We're facing a lot of injuries on the defensive end of the ball. We have a lot of questions when it comes to talent on the defensive end of the ball. We get back to Kenny Clark, which I think Kenny Clark has been fitting in great with Dallas. I mean, Jesus Christ, he's honestly been one of the only bright spots of this team. But losing somebody, not just a guy who on field talent is as good, but the off the field like locker room effect that Micah Parsons had, that was something that we're gonna genuinely miss that, and we're clearly seeing it this year. So I'm gonna put on my Skip Bayless hat, and I'm about to unleash on the Dallas Cowboys 2025 season. All right, oh my god. I'm starting off this season awful to begin with. I mean, we had quite possibly the worst week one matchup we could have ever gotten. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field, fresh off of a Super Bowl. Already off the bat, we're not looking too good, right? And I was actually at that tailgate, right? And the vibes that there, oh my goodness, wearing my Tony Romo jersey with pride. I'm walking through there. I'm having fun there. But man, the energy in that place, I think you talk about home field advantage and the advantage that a crowd would give you. Dude, Philadelphia, I think honestly is probably a top 3 sports city. I mean, these guys love their birds, love them. But let me get into the football aspect. So I'm starting off in week 1, and I got at the time. I'm thinking, man, this might be one of the best games we see all season. If we're being completely honest, I'm looking at this Dallas Cowboys team, and I'm thinking, yo, we actually are not as bad as I thought we were going to be, especially like losing somebody. Like a Micah Parsons, because and that was kind of the trick, because the way how the Eagles play football, especially we've been seeing this a lot this year, is very weird. They're not going to air that ball out. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he only had like 188 yards that game, so we're not really getting gashed that much through the air, except for that one beautiful throw that he had. That basically messed everything. But we're a very competitive team. We're staying in it. We're not losing too much on the defense, and our offense, even though the stats don't really show it, the offense is playing pretty well. And the biggest surprise that we all had week 1, wait a minute, the Cowboys have a running game? Who thought the Cowboys was going to have a running game? I mean, Javonte Williams, this dude is the changed complete life in Dallas. I'm thinking we're about to have this terrible committee of running backs going into this season. We got our running back 1, and I'm looking at the offense, and Pickens didn't settle in as good as he is now. And that's probably growing pains, right? That's going to be expected, but Pickens is he making some plays. But I'm looking at CeeDee Lamb, and as great of a game he's having, I got to put the blame on him for that week 1 loss. I mean, you can't drop that ball. You make more than $30 million a season. My whole thing when it comes to NFL players, I can't look past certain things when you make that much money, because at the end of the day, this is a hard salary cap league. The money that you get is not going to another guy, right? It's a dog eat dog world. You got to rob Peter to pay Paul. So if you're sitting there paying this guy $30 million a season, he has to make those catches. Dak Prescott, except for the Bears game, has been playing unbelievable football. I mean, this dude, I'm and just for context, right? And these guys know, and I've been saying this shit since we was all in high school. I'm the biggest Dak Prescott hater there is. I've been hating on this man since 2016. I don't think he's the guy that's going to take us to the Super Bowl. But as loud as I am with my hate, I have to be as loud as with my appreciation as well. This dude is definitely in this MVP race for the earlier part of the season. I think that he's playing some lights up football, and is getting to a point where, man, it's looking like this guy is kind of getting held back a little bit by the team that we're facing, because you look at that game and you think, man, these Cowboys, man, we got stone hands. We're dropping way too many very important passes. I mean, George Pickens had to drop during one of these games where that led to an interception. I mean, we can't have these guys have stone hands when we need to count on them the most, especially when they're getting balls that are very catchable. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. But the real talk that we have to have when it comes to these last 4 games with the Cowboys, man, it's this defense. I mean, is this 2021 again? Is Mike Nolan our defensive coordinator again? He might as well be, because this is hands down one of the worst defenses in the NFL. On pace to be one of the worst defenses we've seen since 2021. And the sad part about the Cowboys is that, man, the defensive unit has had this weird up down when it comes to each season, where it's like, man, this unit is really good, and then the next season, this is the worst team I've ever seen. The Cowboys was a couple of years ago. We was the number 1. We had the highest scoring defense. That Cowboys defense, when we played the Niners in the playoffs, the defense was keeping us in this game. And I'm just looking at how injuries and just off-season losses are just wrecked this unit. And we got to talk about like the level of coaching that we're having here. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys, we got to completely, refresh coaching staff. We're taking bad penalties. We're being extremely undisciplined. We're just not playing the football that needs to be played in order to win games. We made Caleb Williams look like how he was in USC. Like we're playing this zone defense that we're kind of forced to play because we don't have any talent to really play man. I mean, Trayvon Diggs has his best plays his best football whenever he's in zone and he ball hawks, and he's getting burnt. Our best player right now in the defense is Deron Bland, and we only have one interception to show for it this season, and we've been playing quarterbacks, and we've been playing teams that they're not necessarily the most high potent offenses that we're facing, except for Philly. But I just look at this defensive unit, and you got one interception, and I'm not even going to count the interception because that was just a Russell Wilson just throw up in the air, like easy catch of his life. Russell Wilson moonball. It's a weird outlook when you have this team with the number one offense and the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel. Obviously, the Cowboys schedule, we started off with the Eagles. We took that L. I do think we should have won that game, but it's whatever. Competitive game against a championship contender, I'll take that. We then go in and have what I thought was game of the year at that time, but we're going to get to that later because Jesus Christ. I will say one thing about the Cowboys, man. We've been putting on cinema. It has been absolute cinema here. But we go out to New York and we have that amazing game, but it also has to make you think, why are we having a shootout with New York? Like, let's be real here. Like, we saw the breakout of Cam Scatterboo against us. Why is this happening with this football team, especially with how great the offense is playing? I mean, we had our coach put CeeDee Lamb in the backfield and take a snap. I think that's the perfect way to just summarize how this Cowboys season is going. What are we doing? I don't know what is going on in there. It seems as if that this team is again more focused, and we have Jerry Jones as owner. We've known this for years, but it's like we're more focused on like media and attention than we are winning football games. This cannot be the precedent that we have going forward. So that New York game, we won it. It was cinema. But it started to show, man, this Cowboys team has some real flaws, and those flaws were exploited in that next game with the Bears, our first trap game. We should not have lost to the Bears. Going into that game, we're watching a team who still doesn't have their identity yet. All right, quote unquote Matt Eberflus revenge game. We saw how that went. We gave Luther Burden his first good game in the NFL. Why does this have to happen against us?
Mm-hmm.
You can't allow these teams that are kind of sputtering. You can't allow them to find their identity against you. All right, because that is psychological as well. I mean, you got this dude who hasn't been doing anything, and he's putting up numbers against you. How does that make you feel as a player, and especially going forward when you got some real competition coming up this season? Moving on past that, we get this Packers game, which again is another game that I think was more dominated by media and attention than it was, the actual level of football that we're going to see going in. Obviously, Micah Parsons' revenge game. Credit where credit is due. We neutralized Micah Parsons completely. I think that was a beautifully offensively coached game. It was so far, I think it's game of the year. Even though it ended in a tie, I think it's game of the year. I was glued to my TV 24/7. But I'm looking at this team, and again, I'm thinking, how bad will this defense get? You can't necessarily expect to keep going in these shootouts because eventually the offense is not going to be able to get that ball. And we saw that kind of in the beginning. The momentum changed when we got that blocked extra point. Mm-hmm. We weren't looking too good going into that. And especially against the Packers team coming off of a really bad loss against the Browns. I mean, remember, we were crowning them Super Bowl champions going into week 2 because they looked elite and phenomenal. And the offense did a really good job capitalizing on the fact that, man, maybe this Packers defense is not what they're cracked up to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dallas does not have the O-line of yesteryear, all right? I'm going to talk about this guy right now, man. This dude, Tyler Guyton, he sucks. He is not good at the game of football. And especially given the fact that the shoes he had to fill being in that left tackle position. You got this guy in Tyron Smith for the last, 13 years. This dude has been – you don't even have to worry about this guy. And then on the right side, you had Zach Martin. You don't even got to worry about this guy. These guys are first ballot Hall of Famers without a doubt.
For sure.
Right? But that's not the team that you have right now. So I do have some questions when it comes to this offensive line. Going back over to the defensive side of the ball, man, the pass rush is non-existent. We've seen that every single game. The Cowboys are struggling to get pressure, especially on these quarterbacks, and they get so much time. They get to dice up our offense. That Philly game against Jalen Hurts, I mean, yeah, the Eagles' O-line is definitely some of the best, but dude, this man, Jalen Hurts, he could have fucking baked the cake the amount of time that he had in order to, pass the ball. Caleb Williams and that Bears O-line. You can't let the Bears have that amount of time. You can't let Russell Wilson have that amount of time. You can't have Jordan Love have that amount of time. These guys, they're in the NFL for a reason. They will dice you up. So defensively, we again, man, we have to address it. 2021. This is not good. I mean, we're top 11 in penalties this season.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We've given up the 10th most penalty yards. Stuff like that will kill your team
for sure.
So to kind of like wrap all this up, 1-2-1. I don't think the record necessarily reflects how our team is playing. I think that expectations going into the year were very up and down because you get a guy like George Pickens, but you lose a guy like Micah Parsons. Your offense is expected to be really good. We don't know what to expect from your defense, and we're seeing that our defense is not as good. I don't want to completely write this season off because I do think that looking at our upcoming schedule, we do have a good chance to definitely rack in some wins here, especially with the way how our offense is playing. But looking forward, I'm just very concerned about what is going to happen with this football team on this defensive side of the ball. But again, takeaways: we got a rushing game. We did not think we were going to have that. I'm very curious to see if this is going to be a sustainable thing. Javonte Williams is playing some lights up football, and Miles Sanders, even though he had that extremely costly fumble against Philly, he's also not been doing that bad. And again, we haven't seen Jadon Blue and then the rest of that Cowboys running back room. But I'm really excited to see exactly what we do going forward. But I'm not gonna get on this pedestal and say, oh my God, my Cowboys are gonna win out. I have no idea what this defense is gonna give up. I mean, like you can't win a game if you're giving up 30 points every single time.
For sure. And I mean,
yeah. And
who would you about to say, Kako?
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say something, but you can go first.
No, I just figured, since we're talking about our squads, I feel like, just looking forward, for each from each of our perspectives of our next 4 games for our teams. Like, first of all, how do we feel about the next 4 games, right? And I want to ask, like, what would be the if your team goes 4-0 the next 4 games, what do you believe the reason will be? And if they go 0-4, what do you believe the reason will be? So, Cockney, you want to start?
I guess. Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah. So the positive side, if we do miraculously go 4-0, then let me just run down the four teams that we play. We play, tomorrow Thursday night football against the Rams away. We play away at the Bucks, and then we come back home against the Falcons on Monday Night Football, and then we travel back to the Texans away, right? And given those 4 games, you look at those teams, it's like, oh, what are the 2 teams that kind of just pop out at you? And it's obviously the Rams and the Bucks, right? The Rams, they've been on one. They definitely been on one, and specifically Puka, right? But for us to be able to win all 4 of those games, the reason would have to be that our receivers develop.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's kind of shocking that you guys might think that I would go the receivers route more so than the O line, right? But I truly believe that in order for us to evolve as an offense, right, is that we have to have we've seen it with the development of Ricky Pearsall, right? But we also have some other guys with Jordan Watkins he hasn't had his debut just yet, but hopefully very soon. And then we signed Demarcus Robinson as well from the Rams actually, so we'll get to see how he plays against the Rams. Plus, he's probably the wide receiver number 1 right now, which is kind of insane. It's not ideal at all, not ideal at all. But who knows? Jerry Rice might be Jerry Rice. I don't know, but yeah, with him, and I think we're also looking at guys on the practice squad, and a guy that I think we all know who's the son of a legend, in Owens, right? So who knows? Maybe he'll get a shot. there. But yeah, it has to be the tight ends. Not a tight end, but just a receiver. Oh yeah, the tight ends in general too. I mean, where you got Jake Tonjes, who is our third string tight end. We're getting deep in the bag. We're getting deep in the bag with that one, right?
Your medical training staff, athletic training staff, they need to be arrested for crimes against humanity these past couple of seasons. The way how your team has turned into a hospital.
That's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm pretty sure that Kyle Shanahan he fired the whole like I don't know health and that whole staff where they take care about injuries and like recovery, rehab and all of that. Pretty sure you did that a couple years ago, and but just still the same. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a curse. Whoever cursed us. We didn't do nothing. All right, I didn't do nothing. All right, but
I feel like
yeah,
it's got to be something in like the West Coast water because listen, that
it
whatever
has to.
toxic waste that is leaching from the San Francisco 49ers facility is just going right down the street to the fucking Los Angeles Chargers. Because listen, the 49ers are probably the only team in football that has worse injury history than us. Like, and that says a
Goodness,
lot.
bro.
Every like we have, I believe, 7 starters, both offense and defense, that are out for most of the year, if not all of the year. Out of 22, we have 7 of them that are out. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where I look at our 4 games. We got the Commanders coming up, Miami, Indianapolis, and Minnesota. To be honest, I believe all 4 of those games will probably be the favorites in. So if we somehow do go 4-0, I believe that the reason behind it will be our offense finally decide to show up. I feel like, and to be honest, like obviously it's hard, with having one of the worst offensive lines in the league. But really, these first 4 games, our defense has been far and away carrying this team. You talk about in 4 games, they've only given up 21 points or less. Every single game, they have not given up more than 21 points. And it's not like we're playing against, world beating offenses, but you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey. You're talking about Pete Carroll, who is a Hall of Fame head coach, right? Offensive mind. Didn't give up, that many points to that team. And when you look at our defensive roster, it's not a lot of household names. You know what I mean? The days of the Joey Bosa's and all that are effectively over and done with. It's a lot of guys that are just playing a role. And hats off to our defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. I'm hoping that no one decides to hire him as a head coach because these last 2 years have been a complete turnaround in this defense. They're talking about a Los Angeles Chargers team that for the previous 3 years have had top 5 offenses, but god damn, the defense is giving up 30 points a game. You know what I mean? Where you're talking about like Luke was saying, every game is a shootout. Every game, I know, in order for us to win, we're gonna have to score 40, and sometimes even that's not enough. So to have the roles kind of flip, where now it's like, holy shit, our defense has forced 4 straight 3-and-outs, but holy shit, our offense has punted on 6 straight drives. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's one of those things where if we're able to somehow win 4 straight games, it'll be because finally our offense is starting to click. Like Quentin Johnson has been a complete revelation this season. I will be the first one to say I was leading the Quentin Johnson hate train. I wanted to trade him during the offseason. I was like, you know what? Especially after drafting Trey Harris in the second round and picking up some guys through the draft, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, I think this is Quentin Johnson's last year of his rookie deal. Let's just punt, get a 7th round pick for him and move the fuck on. But holy shit, he has been, I believe he's top 3 in receiving yards, like top 5 in receiving touchdowns this season. I believe every single game he scored a touchdown so far. Like he has been amazing, like literally amazing. There's nothing more I could ask from him. So if we can keep that up, that would be dope. Our leading receiver last year was Lad McConkey, and he's obviously started the season slow, and still, we're still finding ways to, at moments, move the ball through the air. So, if Quentin Johnson keeps it up, Keenan Allen, my GOAT, he's still, kicking it at, I believe he's like 32, 31, 32 at this point. He looks like he's still in his prime. So if we can keep getting that play, Lad McConkey, gets, because he's getting open. It's just one of those things where, like, other guys are getting open too. So it's like, when you going through your reads, okay, yeah, I know Lad McConkey is open for this, 15-yard slant or drag, but holy shit, Quentin Johnson is open 60 yards downfield. Like, you know what I mean? So hopefully there's a little bit of normalcy and balancing out that goes throughout the season. I believe it will, because Lad McConkey is that type of player. But yeah, if then the reason if we go 0-4, which I'll be honest with you, I think is we're way more likely to go 0-4 than we are to go 4-0, and just simply off of the offensive line. Like, this is a bad offensive line. There's not a single player. Like, I believe, like I said, next week we got Washington, and I believe the reports are we should have Mekhi Becton back, which will be a fucking made him alone at least somewhat help solidify this offensive line a little bit. And I believe we'll be moving our backup left guard to left tackle, which I believe 2 years ago, he actually played pretty well at that position. So we're going to try that, see how that goes. So the reason why we will be losing all these games is because, holy shit, we cannot figure out this offensive line. We can't move the ball.
And just one more thing, just real quick, about the Keenan Allen thing. He needs only 2 more catches to get 1,000 catches, right? 1,000 receptions for the fastest receiver since Marvin Harrison, and he did it in much less games. Which, if he gets it during this upcoming week, he'll do it in 159 games compared to 167, which is very, very impressive.
Yes.
Right. And right before Luke just goes, I forgot to say, like, the reason why my team could go 0-4, right? And the reason why is just the lack of building a running game, like I said, right? In which building a running game and pretty much just injuries. Literally, that's all it is, injuries. It feels like everybody on the Niners, or like Luke said earlier, everybody in the league is just dropping like flies, right? So if we can't stay healthy and we continue to not have some type of a run game, it just puts, it just makes the other opposing defenses a lot, it just makes their jobs a lot easier, in the sense that just stack the box and take care of Christian McCaffrey. And we're not going to worry about Demarcus Robinson or Kendrick Bourne, and just real quick, from the last game we played against the Jags, like, yes, they are just I think pretty sure number one in scoring defense, but if you watch that game carefully, I generally think that they're not all that. I'll be honest. Because, like, there were moments where we could have won that game, and we just gifted them just stupid mistakes, right? And stupid mistakes. I'm not saying just like interceptions or whatever, fumbles, right? But I'm talking about, well, officially it's 6 drops, but if you look throughout the whole game, there were at least 8 to 10 drops, and half of them were for first downs or touchdowns. You know what I mean? And so those are going to hurt you against teams where they're going, like the Jags, as of recently, they're going to take advantage of that, right? And if we continue to not have a good O line, but not help our quarterback by catching the ball, that's your job, then that's not going to help anybody, and it just puts more wear and tear on Christian McCaffrey, who he's on pace to have 500 touches. That's insane. 500 touches, boys. I'm pretty sure that's like 50 more than his offensive player of the year, which was like 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm just leave it at that.
I was just about to ask you that question. How do you feel going forward? The load that Christian McCaffrey is going to have on his shoulders, given his history with injuries and kind of how the narrative on him has been. This guy is amazing, but he's a glass cannon, right? You guys are going to have to rely on this dude, especially to win this, this stretch of games, especially if you want to keep that playoff window open with the amount of injuries that you guys have right now. How much concern is there with having to give him the brunt of the load for that stretch?
I think I'll be honest. I think it is a lot of concern because like this is the running back where he suffered many injuries. This feels like every other year, right? Where he has a season-ending injury or just a lingering injury where that prevents him to play multiple games back to back even. And it's just one of those things where it's like, and Kyle Shanahan has said it. If he's out there, he's healthy, he's playing, right? And the target, and like it goes to show we traded for a guy like Brian Robinson, right, for like a late round pick, but we haven't really used him as much. Either Kyle Shanahan said we used him, or we're bringing him in as a running back too, but if you're not a Niners fan, right? You're looking from the outside in. It's like, oh, that looks like, oh, Brian Robinson's going to actually get touches and take some of the pressure off of Christian McCaffrey. But no, if you are a Niners fan, you watch every single game, you realize that running back two is not a thing. It's just stay on the sideline, get my towel, be on the bench, be ready, whatever, right? We got even like from last year when Christian McCaffrey was out, we had a guy like Jordan Mason where we ended up trading him to the Vikings, but also a rookie that we drafted and Isaac Guerrero who showed a lot of promise, right? Where he played pretty well during the back half of the season, but right now he's struggling to get minutes. Where I'm pretty sure he's a prime kick returner, right? But right now he can barely get on the field with, especially with Brian Robinson being on the team now, right? So it just goes to show that although it makes sense that he's the best player, you're gonna have to use him in the type of game plan, but in the sense is that I feel like Kyle Shanahan has to find a way, and I know it's a very hard ask because we, like I said, guys, we have Demarcus Robinson as our number one and Kendrick Bourne as our number two. Guys, guys.
Getting critical.
Honestly, let's hold on. Scratch that. Our wide receiver number one and running back number one is Christian McCaffrey. Let's be honest.
CMC right? is the team.
Yeah, exactly. CMC is the team. CMC to the moon. All right. He's on my fantasy team, so I hope he gets get injured. But yeah, but that's besides the point.
We're gonna get into fantasy a little bit later too. But all right, going off these next 4 games, we got Panthers, Commanders, Broncos, and Cardinals. Obviously, that's that one divisional game coming up. Divisional games are top toss-ups. What is exactly going to happen in that game? We're going to see. All right, but I'm going to start off with the Panthers. I feel like the Panthers is another example of a Dallas Cowboys trap game that's going to show us what exactly this team is going to look like. We just saw the Panthers, like 2 weeks ago. Going to that game, everybody's thinking that Atlanta was just going to just run right over them, given their defense and the weapons that they have on offense. And they did absolutely nothing. And they made Bryce Young look like he was, an elite quarterback in this league. I'm having a fear that the exact same thing is about to happen with Dallas. Obviously, the Panthers, there's nothing to say about them, right? There's bright spots here and there when it comes to individual talent, but as a team, no one's expecting anything from them, and I think that's the problem. I think going in this, I'm going to predict that we win, obviously, especially if we want to go 4-0, like how the question is. But we have to think: are these guys about to have breakouts against us? We've kind of seen flashes of Ted McMillan. But I think we're about to see Ted McMillan's career game. So if you want any gambling advice, I would take Ted McMillan overs every single time because who's going to stop him? We don't have anybody. And, given how bad our pass rush is, man, Bryce Young, we're going to see what he looks like when he has a lot of time in the pocket because, quite frankly, no one on our team can get to them. Going in Commanders, I think that the Commanders have, out of all the teams, I think that they honestly might have the worst shot. And it's purely based off of the health of Jaden Daniels, and even with that, Marcus Mariota is not looking bad. He's looking like he's playing some pretty good football, honestly. And even if he does have to step in, if Jaden Daniels can't get his health figured out, then I'm still going to be a little bit scared. I think watching Commanders games, I did start to think, all right, maybe there might be some sophomore slump going in there. I do think that the tape is out on Jaden Daniels. Make him throw the ball, take away his legs, then you have a chance of beating the Commanders. Here's the problem. No one in the Cowboys can play contain. So even if you have Marcus Mariota, who's way more run happy than Jaden Daniels is, what are we going to do to really stop them? Can we beat their defense? Absolutely, I think we can beat their defense. Another game that I think is going to come down to a shootout, especially given how the Commanders have been going through shootouts in their games. Broncos, this is definitely going to be the toughest matchup that we face. They just are a complete team. We the question again, Bo Nix, is he going to have some sophomore regression? He had a great season last year. He's doing his job. I think he's doing exactly what is expected of him. And most importantly, man, we got to talk about Cortland Sutton and how he's just become one of the top wide receivers we've seen. Man, he's playing some really good football. And again, I think he's going to just eat on this Cowboys team. I think given the fact that their offense is starting to kind of like pick up, especially in the run game, J.K. Dobbins and Harvey, they're starting to get their feet together. I think that we're gonna have our hands full with all that stuff. The only thing that I'm really just not worried about, their tight end room. I mean, their tight end room is empty. They don't have anybody there, so maybe we don't have to worry about that threat. Because tight ends definitely get their feast when it comes to this Dallas defense. So maybe we don't have to worry about that. But again, you never know. Right? The game is going to go as far as our offense takes us, and then ending off this 4-game stretch with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm with the Cardinals, their injury with James Conner, him going out. Hopefully he heals up pretty soon. Pitt legend James Conner. And Trey, and I was just about to mention, Trey Benson's now out, right? So how exactly is this team going to play, especially given the fact that, their top running backs are now gone? We have no idea. Marvin Harrison, his confidence is getting a little bit shaky. Will he do good? Will he not do good? We don't really know. That game will again be Kyler Murray's game to lose. We're going to see a lot from him. But I do think that all of the games that we have, they are winnable. They are winnable games. I mean, Dallas just took, the Green Bay Packers to 40 points and did a tie. I think the Broncos, with their defense, we did that to Green Bay. I full-heartedly think we can do that for the Broncos. So to answer the question, to go all around, if we do go 4-0, it will be because our offense just had that much firepower that we were able to just win games purely because we just kept putting up points. It's not the most sustainable way to win points, but when I'm looking at this Cowboys team, we have the passing leader, we have a guy that's top 10 in rushing yards, and we also have a guy that's top 10 in receiving yards. Right, pretty sure CeeDee Lamb should be coming back during that back half of that stretch. I think he might be coming back during that Broncos game. I'm not sure. Don't want to say that, but we're going to get some more offensive firepower during this stretch. So I'm looking really forward to that. As to why we will lose this game, again, surprise to no one, our defense. If our defense can at least get some turnovers, some stops, just anything, we're not going to be able to do this. The classic Cowboys game formula was you go down by a bunch of points and then we get our garbage time stats. That can't happen because we're not going to be able to claw back up there. I'm looking at this team when in terms of how it was constructed. We have guys that are getting paid a lot of money. And again, like I said earlier, your salary dictates how many excuses there are, right? So when it comes to this 4-game stretch, and I'm really looking forward to this, we need to see Dak Prescott be the highest paid, play like the highest paid player that he is. I'm a guy, I don't tolerate excuses when you make a certain amount of money. Rob Peter to pay Paul. This is the hard cap league. The amount of money that you spend on this one guy is the amount of money that you won't be able to spend on these other guys, right? So if you're taking up 20% of our cap space, you actually need to play like you are taking up 20% of the cap space. I can't see any bad games out of Dak Prescott. He has to play lights out. Hopefully our running game continues to play how they are playing. Again, I need that offensive line to be a little bit better, especially when it comes to discipline. Tyler Guyton, please seek help. And I definitely need that defense to be a little bit more disciplined when it comes to just taking bad penalties. You can't take bad pass interferences. You can't take bad unnecessary roughnesses, especially when you're pushing guys back all the way to 3rd and 18s and they're still converting just because you give them a bad penalty. We can't have mistake football. We have to play mistake-free football. If we do that, then I think we can honestly win these 4 games. But if not, we might as well just start looking at next season. I mean, hey, man, look, we're number 2 in salary cap next season, right? So not paying Micah did have a bit of a benefit. We got a lot of money to play with, but as we all know, the Dallas Cowboys do not sign free agents. So I'm not even worried about the amount of cap space we have. we just got to worry about the draft. But I'm not giving up on the season yet. I think we could go 4-0 on the hands of of the offense. We can also lose every game if our offense doesn't pick it up because our defense is a non-factor.
Yeah, and just real quick, we just it's great that you mentioned again about like players of high salaries must perform, and they have a lot of pressure, right? Especially with the salary cap and all that, right? And how like it restricts a lot of teams with like what moves they can do. And I don't know, you probably already know this, but to the people that don't know, and during the before the Week 4 game against the Packers, the Cowboys actually benched Trayvon Diggs, right? He benched Trayvon Diggs and instead wanted him to like mix them in some certain packages on certain downs, right? So I just want to get your thoughts on like a guy where you guys paid him like top dollar like a few years ago, and who is fresh off I'm pretty sure like a season-ending injury or something like that,
Yeah,
and then being benched, basically 3 to 4 weeks in.
yeah. So when it comes to the whole Trayvon Diggs thing, I do believe that a part of the reason why he was benched a little bit was because he got nicked up a little bit. Obviously, health has been a big concern when it comes to that defensive unit because if you're already playing with scraps and they get even worse because you're losing pieces. I mean, we just lost Malik Hooker. Like, dude, this is not looking good at all.
Mhm.
When it comes to Trayvon Diggs, and I'm thinking about why we paid Trayvon Diggs, obviously it was those interceptions, right? He's a ball hawk. When it comes to one-on-one coverage, he's not necessarily the best. He plays his best work when he's a ball hawking defender and trying to make plays. But unfortunately, I just don't think the way how the team is constructed now complements how Trayvon Diggs plays football. Trayvon Diggs benefited from the fact that you had a pass rush that
Mhm.
was able to get to that quarterback. I mean, again, we lost Overshawn too. He should be coming back pretty soon. But you got Overshawn and you got Micah Parsons, and you only got 2 seconds before they're in your face, and you might have to get out the pocket and move. Having to force quarterbacks to make those quick decisions, right? Trayvon Diggs excelled at recognizing the quick option that the quarterback wanted to take, and that is how he was able to get those interceptions. So we're seeing the effects of losing a guy like Micah Parsons affect the games of a dude like Trayvon Diggs, who, if you have that pass rush, Trayvon Diggs is probably the best cornerback that you want when it comes to this quarterback has to make a quick decision, maybe not the best decision. He has to just throw the ball in order for to get some yards. He's amazing at recognizing that. But the problem is now that he doesn't have that pass rush, he tries to make those moves and it doesn't work. I mean, we
Can't
saw
do
his
that.
ankles get took immediately when he tried off the line. He's playing way too close. He's not playing smart football. And I think that's a matter of coaching. Because I refuse to believe that this guy who made it to the NFL and is making millions of dollars is lining up in press coverage when that's not the scheme that was called. That had to be called. They wanted him to press, and that's not what's happening, right? So I think that we gotta talk about how Matt Eberflus. What are we doing on that defensive end? It has to be some area of scheming where we're not playing to our best strengths, but we also have a talent issue. So going forward, thinking about that, it is you got to think. I'm not gonna lie. You got to think till next year for our defense. The defense is going to be bad for the entirety of this year. It's not going to get better. Will Overshawn help? Absolutely, we will. But we can't blitz. We don't have any pass rush. You got to. What can you do when any offense has their way with whatever scheme you draw up?
Yeah, I mean, and when you mentioned like salary cap, like that just made me think like that kind of like recontextualized a lot of the way I view this Chargers team because this is a very cheap team in terms of the amount of players that we actually have on big contracts. Like a lot of our team, I mentioned the defense. Most of our defense is made out of guys on 1 year deals. You know what I mean? With the idea of saving the cap, this, that, and the third. But what frustrates me about that uh about going about your business that way is that obviously, you pay, you get what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? So when you see even going into this season, our biggest need, in my opinion, was the offensive line, improving the offensive line. And we signed Mekhi Becton, but we still had Zion Johnson as a starter. We still had Bradley Bozeman as a starter. Like we had the money, we had all the resources to really, especially coming from a team that has literally said offensive linemen are weapons. We want to build through the trenches, smash mouth football. If that's really how you feel, how I feel like a part of it is a little bit of my practice to coming to this season with having really no plans or anything of injury. Like we're 4 weeks in and we're starting guys that we're picking up off the street. When we have millions upon millions of cap space dollars that we could have allocated through the offseason to strengthen that weakness. So that's definitely a frustrator for me. With that being said, it shows the floor of this team, the fact that we don't have any household names and things of that nature, and we're still 3-1. That does show me that okay, coaching is very important to this team. That coaching can get the most out of these players, but eventually you have to make a move. Eventually you have to go in, especially looking at the AFC 4 weeks in. It looks very open right now. A lot of the top teams that have been, ruling the AFC, a lot of them are dealing with whether it's injuries, whether it's poor play, whether it's coaching, whatever. Where it looks like if you really put it together this year, it's very likely that XYZ team can represent the AFC this year, which has not been the case the last 6 years, right? So, that's definitely something that I really wish that we went into the season with the process of let's go all in because and we'll talk about that'll be our next our following topic is some of our surprises, some of our disappointment teams this so far this season where it's a lot of AFC teams that they have not started this season out the way that they wanted to.
Yep. And just some context going in, 2024 going into that season, Chargers had about 4 million in the cap. 2025, you guys have around 11. So you guys are looking pretty healthy right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess just going on to just like right before we dive into like the next topic and whatever, right? Going back again to the salary cap, you guys talking about you guys are pretty good in like with the salary cap and everything. It's kind of like iffy over here on our side with the Niners, where like you've seen us pay our guys top dollar when it comes to like Fred Warner, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy just past season, right? Past off season, but a lot of people look at that and be like, oh, the Niners have no salary cap at all. But come to think of it, they have the fourth most salary cap in the league right now. And although that must say that, like, oh, you guys have a lot of salary cap, but what John Lynch loves to do is that he knows that, oh, it's fifth.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just looked it up. Yeah, fifth. I read Washington. Yeah, you guys are at fifth.
Got you. So fifth. But like, what John Lynch likes to do is rolling over that amount of cap space to next year, right? Where he knows that the salary cap is not only going to go up, but it helps us pay our contracts that we did, offer up through these big name guys, right? So although 40 million or whatever the number is, 60 million, whatever it is, although that might seem large, I think for the average, the non-average fan, for the guys that actually like looks into the little minute details of the team when it comes to the salary cap, that it's really not that much, to be honest, right? Because you have to think that later down the line, we're kicking the can down the road, so we're like, oh, we're just putting these contracts to being backloaded instead of front loaded, right? And where how long is it going to take? Where all that is going to come and bite us. So it just goes to show that time is ticking, right? Time is ticking. I'm of the believer where that I came into this season thinking that it's do or die. I'm up to I had a mentality saying that if we are healthy, right? That's a big if, right? If we were healthy and we didn't get the job done for whatever reason, then I say blow up almost everything. Because I think, for me as a Niners fan, although people say Kyle Shanahan is a very good coach, or he's a very good offensive mind, right? I think it gets to a point where and I know people are scared of, oh, if we don't have Kyle Shanahan, who are we going to hire? that's the thing, right? You never know. You never know, right? And my thing is that I think his time is going to run its course very, very soon.
And I was
I
just
just
gonna ask you that.
yeah, because it's just very, very I don't know mentally draining as at least for a fan,
Yeah.
right? Um, because one year we are probably one of the worst teams in the league, and the next year we're going to the Super Bowl, right, or NFC Championship, and that's literally a stat. And it's been like that since the last time we went to we won a Super Bowl, which is insane when you think about it, right? Either we're very bad or we make a deep run to the playoff, right? And that's been the same thing throughout every single year of his tenure, right? But the thing is that how did we lose those those big games in the Super Bowls to those the Chiefs, right, and the the Eagles game and whatever the Rams, whatever, all that, right? But it comes to a point
What if
where
he caught the
I
ball?
think the friend,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
no, I got you. It comes to a point where you just have to make that big change, like I think in terms of like whose job is more safer, Kyle Shanahan or John Lynch, I think John Lynch's job should be more safer
I
because
agree.
he's done pretty much everything that he can to help build his team. He's drafted these guys, he's scouted these guys. I mean, look at all these guys that we had in the later rounds when it comes to. I mean, all of our guys that we just paid, right? Brock Purdy, George Kittle, um, Fred Warner. Those are our three main core guys where we drafted them in the later rounds, in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round. Even our best corner right now, he's a fifth, sixth round pick in Deommodore Lenoir, right? So he's a guy that I think we should keep, right? But in terms of Kyle Shanahan, he's not obviously he's not on a hot seat right now just because I think
Yeah.
it's the injuries thing, right? But I think when things are together, which is pretty much never the case unless that couple years ago to the Super Bowl, but I think it's time to at least get a fresh new face in the building,
Mhm.
because who knows, maybe that could like I don't know, just reignite something in this team, or at least fix the freaking injury situation because it's been so ridiculous, right? Like I just don't understand how that keeps on happening, but yeah, uh, it's not a very um good quote unquote future, I should say. But I don't know. I'm still kind of excited how teams are, how we are, because we still have a lot of good players on our team, especially talent wise, right? But it all depends of how we put it together, especially with this cap space and all that. So I'll say this: if you asked me this a few years ago of how I felt about our future, I'd say it's pretty bad. I thought we'd probably be like be one of the worst teams in the league, like starting this season, right? If you asked me a couple years ago, but these past two drafts, actually, John Lynch and like the whole coach scouting team, they nailed almost every single pick, because especially from last year and this year, most of them are guys that we just drafted and are second year starters or first year starters, right? Especially like a guy like D Winters, who he's been emerging as a perfect Dre Greenlaw replacement. Who's we ended up letting him go, even though we offered him a better contract than the Broncos last minute, but he decided to go to the Broncos for for his reasons. But we got a guy in D Winters in the in the building where he's been learning under Fred Warner's wing, and look how he's been playing right now. He's damn near playing as like a top 10 linebacker in the league, right? And so it just goes to show that the development team and the scouting team, they're on game. So
Yeah.
I feel pretty good for the future in terms of like the talent and the players aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like like this one final segment. I feel like this is a perfect kind of segue. About a quarter of the way into the year, like what are some teams that have been some very surprising? It could either be for holy shit, I thought they were going to be better than they are 4 weeks in, and they're actually not doing as well, or I had no expectations of this team, and listen, they seem like that they could be at the very least a playoff contender. Because I mean, a team that instantly comes to mind for me in the negative side is the Baltimore Ravens. Like they were a team coming into the season that I thought, okay, this is their year. This is finally the year they put it together. This is finally the year they get over the hump and they make it to a Super Bowl. Like coming out of the AFC, that they were my pick. And for 4 weeks in, for them to be 1-3 is very alarming. And don't get me wrong, like yes, two of those losses have come from the Chiefs, who historically they've had a problems beating, and the Bills, who might be the best team in football right now. But it's not just that; it's the fact that now you lose your starting quarterback. You lose 8. It's hard to replace. It's impossible to replace a talent of his level. So especially at the level of which he was playing, like which it's just something. It feels like we've kind of become desensitized to Lamar Jackson's greatness. Like that man is on a whole different stratosphere when it comes to the level of play that he year in and year out he plays at. So losing that, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like the prospects are looking any better. So it would be that division. If the fucking Steelers do not win that division, then Mike Tomlin needs to be fucking fired. Like holy shit! Like that is probably the easiest division to win in football, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the Ravens, you going from Lamar Jackson, who's damn near probably one of the best quarterbacks, if not in some people's eyes, the best quarterback in the league, to you know, just might know a little bit about him, Cooper Rush. So that's a it's just a huge drop off, right? And another and maybe just a little bit, yeah, just another guy, right? But but no, like I think what's more important is the defense. That defense, we're coming in the season, we're looking like, oh, you can't pass on this team. Boy, were we wrong. You can just you could do anything on that defense, right? You're talking about a guy like Kyle Hamilton, Jair Alexander, who they just signed, right? Humphreys, this drafted Starks, right? They're just loaded talent all over the secondary, but they just have not gotten it done, right? And people want to say, yeah, it is against the, like you said, against the Bills, the Lions, and the Chiefs, right? And the Browns, but they didn't do much. But still, right? If you want to take, Kai, like again, like you love your stats, right? If you just want to take away the Browns, right? We're talking about the Bills, Lions, and Chiefs. These are 3 teams where we're talking about as Super Bowl contenders coming into the year, where these are the teams that the Ravens should be competing at the level at.
Yeah.
But their defense at a total are averaging against those 3 teams, giving up at least 38 to 39 points. And I don't care how good your offense is. If your defense is giving up at least 38 points, you're not winning a game. You're not. You're just not. Even if you might have the best, offense in the league, it's just not going to come to that level if the defense is giving up 38 points a game, right? And even if you want to add up and in the Browns, where the Browns didn't do well, but that takes the total down to about 33 points a game, which is still horrible, right? So I know that Lucas is talking about how his defense is playing, but arguably the Ravens are playing a lot worse with a lot more talent, right? So it's kind of crazy how things work out, right? So yeah, that's just crazy, man.
Like, is there a team that equally? Because I feel like the Ravens are probably like the easiest answer, like of this what the fuck is going on in Baltimore. But like, is there another team that like has shocked or surprised you, or even in a positive way?
I'm gonna take a weird pivot with this one, but man, am I disappointed in how the Cleveland Browns are playing football right
He's
now?
muted for me.
Ooh, am I still
I think
muted?
he's muted as
Okay.
well.
I was
I'm
like,
reset.
okay, maybe I'm crazy. I think
This is
he'll try to join back.
yeah,
We'll
but
edit it out.
I think, but I do think who he might
Let's see,
be
am I
talking
back to
about, but
life?
yeah, you got it.
Am I back to life?
Yeah.
All right. This is going to come as a complete shock because you wouldn't think I would say this team, but I'm going to say this team. I got to look at the Cleveland Browns and I got to think, what is going on over there in Cleveland? We have, like, obviously, the big drama given this offseason with the Cleveland Browns was their quarterback situation and, how they selected Shedeur Sanders, but they're not playing him. In fact, they took two quarterbacks and they're not playing either of them. Instead, they're trotting out Joe Flacco to take 50 passes a game for some fucking reason and just lose football games. The way how that team and you know what, when it comes to football teams who are historically bad and they're chronically bad, that you don't expect much from them, this is starting to become a little bit disappointing from them. And I know that they just handed that really big win over in Green Bay, but offensively I'm a little bit upset because I fully bought in to the Jerry Judy Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of disappointed with the slow start that he's has. And I'm looking at these guys and I'm thinking, man, their running back room is looking pretty good. They got Quinshawn Judkins situation I figured out, but the way how Jerome Ford ended last year with how he's playing this year, I was a little bit disappointed with how really unproductive this offense is looking, and I'm just kind of disappointed with how I think we're going to see another great Cleveland defense get just wasted just by not knowing what they're doing on the offensive side of the ball. There's no reason that we should be starting Joe Flacco, especially like now. I mean, dude, I think Jameis Winston was playing some good football. He played Jameis Winston football, high validity, but he just, I just don't think that I want to just watch another year of Myles Garrett's career get wasted. They've been playing just again. I'm just again going back to that Packers win. That score was extremely low, and I know the Packers defense is great, but dude, you win that game off of a blocked kick. Like, if we're being completely honest, like, they really shouldn't have a win this season, but they did. And the only reason that they got it was because all the aspects of football in terms of special teams and defense is there. But offensively, this is another year of Cleveland just not being there. So far, I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't figure that stuff out, especially when they made all this noise in the offseason, especially even the preseason. They were like preseason, everybody was looking at Cleveland like, oh man, maybe Cleveland has a quarterback situation figured out. And the whole time they're just not doing it. Why are they not playing the guys that they drafted? I can understand not playing the guys that they drafted, if you want to just have them sit back and develop. But, you're trotting out Joe Flacco in 2020, and you have two quarterbacks that you drafted. So from the off season, to now, I just expected just a little bit more out of the Cleveland offense. I didn't expect them to, be undefeated now or anything like that. That wasn't what I was saying. But I just expected a little bit more productivity from the offensive side of the ball because right now they're playing kind of lifeless.
Yeah. The fact that the Giants pulled the plug on Russell Wilson before the Browns pulled the plug on Joe Flacco is actually insane. Like, especially, like, I don't know if it's an intentional tank or what, but in my opinion, at a certain, like, what is Joe Flacco showing you in practice that is like, wow, we have to put him on the field? Because this man's fucking quarterback rating is 60. Like, he has 6 interceptions and 2 touchdowns in 4 weeks. That's fucking crazy. Like, and
Insane.
bro, like, the man is, how old is Joe Flacco?
I think Flacco's going
Joe
year
Flacco's
40,
like 50 years,
41.
like
Yeah.
50,
Like, what are we doing?
40.
What are we doing? Like realistically, like, I understand young players or whatever, but I know it worked with Jordan Love, but I'm fully in the camp of the only way you get better at something is by fucking doing it. You can sit on the sideline and learn the playbook and this, that, and third, but sometimes you just have to go through the fire to know that shit's fucking real in order to learn. You know what I mean? I feel like when you have a rookie quarterback or even a year 2 quarterback, the expectation shouldn't be high. It should not be, okay, this guy has to hit the ground running in order for us not to freak the fuck out. Like, no, you have to, okay, there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some games that we just lose because he is a rookie. You know what I mean? But they're also, when you look at it 2 years later, 3 years later, when now that guy has developed into potentially a top 10 player at his position, you look at it and be like, yeah, I will give 2 fucking years away of this guy developing in order for him to reach that potential. You know what I'm saying? So if, like you just said, you drafted, you spent draft capital on the position. Two guys that for give it to themselves, they both have had pretty extensive and long careers in college. So it's not talking about you're throwing 19-year-olds in there. You're talking about two guys, Gabriel and Sanders, that both of them have had and not only have played a while in college, but also have different levels of success in college. So it's like, okay, at the very least, take a chance on one of them. It looks like this week they finally are, playing their guys, because to be honest, no matter what the fuck those guys do, it can't be worse than what you already have on the field right now.
And I think it brings up a very good point that if you guys haven't heard, I think on the ESPN show called Get Up, I think Rex Ryan mentioned it, that when they announced that Dylan Gabriel is now the starting QB, right? People were talking about, oh, why are they starting him against a very tough defense in the Vikings, where they have Brian Flores, and you know how he mixes up his defense, pre-snap versus after the snap, right? But one thing I took away from what Rex Ryan said was that there shouldn't be that there's there's no such thing as starting a QB against a tough defense, because it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all, right? He's starting against a good defense or a bad defense, it's an NFL team. It's going to be hard regardless. It's their very first start, right? Right now, and I'm allude to back to the fact when I talked about Amarion Hampton, about how Najee Harris got injured, and now accelerate his development, and throw him to the fire. Let's see how he does. It might not be an ideal situation, but it's a very good test, and to see where he's at his development right now, and how he could be doing better or worse in the future, right? And this is the same situation for Dylan Gabriel, where is he going to take the QB job by the thorns and just run away with it, or is he just going to sink like the rest of all other Cleveland Browns quarterbacks? Not Jake Baker Mayfield, but
That they wish they had.
but
They could really use a guy like that now.
don't even get me started on that whole situation, because I think you guys know how I feel about that whole situation, where it was not his fault. I'm just leaving it at that. It's not his fault. But yeah, it just goes to show that Dylan Gabriel has a very, very big opportunity on his hands right now.
For sure.
And whether he's gonna, take it and run away with it or not. Because you got to remind yourself, there is another QB on that roster who's been, wanting that opportunity since he, finally got drafted by them in the later rounds, in Shedeur Sanders. Right? So we'll see how that goes with the Browns. But one of the teams actually that similarly to Lucas, but more on the positive side, that kind of shocked me was the Seahawks. Actually, the Seahawks coming into the season and off of last season, I think the last 6 weeks. Well, yeah, the last 6 weeks of last season, they were ranked, I believe, the number 1 or number 2 ranked defense. Right, and coming into this season, they're also ranked as one of the best defenses in the league, right? And now with accusations of of Sam Darnold coming from the Vikings, right, and a few other guys they drafted, and obviously second year of Mike McDonald as a head coach, they've been doing pretty well. In the stacked NFC, in the wild West, right? You got 3-1 teams in the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Rams, and the Cardinals. I'm pretty sure that they're like 2-2 or something like that.
I believe they are 2-2.
Yeah,
right. So it's still a very competitive division, but they're still looking like one of the better teams. Like you see the Niners when they played the Saints, it was a very tough game, albeit it was with Mac Jones and company, right? But when you look at the Seahawks, they just blew them to shreds. I'm pretty sure they put up like almost. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they put up like 30, almost around like 30 points at 44. The first half.
Yeah, in total. Godly. That box score looks awful.
I know, yeah. Like if you look at the box score, that was a massacre, right?
21 points in the first quarter, 17 in the second.
Yeah. Yeah, the Saints are not that good. I'm not Yeah, moment of silence.
Let's not talk about.
The moment of silence for the Saints.
You know what's funny? This is a little off topic, not really, but you know what's funny? I remember when we had I think we had Kasim on this pod a long time ago when we were talking about draft prospects, right?
Listen,
And he
it's
said
not looking bad.
he said Spencer Rattler is going to be he's going to be the best QB in the draft class, and that was the draft class with Caleb Williams, I think, right? And so he's looking okay, but
He's not
he's
playing bad
not.
football at all.
Yeah,
This
he's
team's just
not. He's
bad.
not. Yeah,
Especially for his environment and the situation that he's in, it could be a lot worse, aka Joe Flacco. So if this, 88, close to 90 quarterback rating, 5 touchdowns, one interception, almost 800 passing yards. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that'll take that right now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. The
Listen,
Browns.
hats off to Spencer Rattler and Kasim for that take. I mean, it doesn't quite undo his Geno Smith over Lamar Jackson take. I think
I'm sorry. Wait. What?
Yeah,
yeah, 2
bro.
years
That's a
ago,
long story.
Kasim said that he would take Geno Smith over Lamar Jackson. Yeah,
That was when
don't get me wrong, it was
yeah.
crazy then. It was like, what the fuck are you talking about then? But now, 2 years later, it's even crazier. You know what I mean? Mind you, Geno Smith has like one good season compared
You're
to
talking about the same Lamar Jackson, who's a multi-time MVP.
first ballot
And if
Hall
this
of
take
Yes.
was
Famer if he
if
retired.
this take
Yep.
was made 2 years ago, Lamar was either fresh off an MVP or he just got one, and he would take Geno Smith over Lamar Jackson. Oh,
Pictures
You
required,
got him on
brother.
4K. Yep.
Yes. I told him then, like I tell him now, you're never living that takedown. That is, I will bring
Yeah.
that up every single time that I can.
I'll
Every
go even further. Does Geno Smith even do one aspect of football better than Lamar Jackson?
turn the ball over.
He is good at that.
I'll tell you
He's
this. I'll tell
very
you
good
this
at that.
much. I'll tell you this much. He definitely wrote back. He definitely wrote back.
Yeah, I think he ate his fucking pen or some shit because this is crazy. That shit
Yeah,
goes
he needs to
straight
stop
through
writing.
the frontal cord.
Yeah.
Post office did not let that shit go through because it's terrible.
Like, bro, you're oh my god, like he has, I believe he leads the league in interceptions. But like, don't get me wrong. I mean, his 3 years in Seattle, he was solid, right? But we're talking about a guy that those 3 years were the only good 3 years of his 10-plus year career. He got drafted in 2013, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So again, that I'm going off on a tangent, but yes, this is the same. His Spencer Rattler take, which is still pending, does not overtake that terrible ass take. So
Yeah.
I'm just so disgusted. Man, first of all, I got personal beef with Geno Smith because that man has cost me a lot of money over these couple of years. But Geno Smith, you want to talk about the nastiest 1-2 combination I ever seen? Chip Kelly as your offensive coordinator, and then Geno Smith as your starting quarterback. Oh my God, I am praying that they do not ruin the careers of Aston Genty over there because, he had a great game, but man, was he starting out kind of slow, and it's not helping that you have Geno Smith as your quarterback. Why did he get paid that much money again?
uh,
What are we,
because the Raiders suck, and I feel like this
Yeah.
is. I mean, I don't. We could keep this and we could not. Because listen, this gives me time to talk about how shitty the Raiders are. That's why, like, when everybody kept talking about, oh yeah, Pete Carroll this, Pete Carroll that. First of all, the man's like 93 years old. Second of all, he has Chip Kelly as his offensive coordinator. That never works. Like, I don't think Chip Kelly has ever worked at the NFL level. So I don't think why. What is it? Third time's the charm. Like, okay, maybe this time Chip Kelly knows how to coach NFL players. That will never happen. You're talking about Geno Smith. Your season resting on the shoulders of Geno Smith. No, it was never going to work. But every year, fucking Raiders fans, they get loud and they say, "This is our year. We're finally fucking with their Max Crosby jerseys on and their Hunter Renfro jerseys on. Like, this is the year we're gonna finally fucking do it." Newsflash: it'll never happen. It'll never be your year. It hasn't been your year for the last 50 fucking years. It won't be your year. Period.
Period. Chip Kelly really took a Eagles team, the Eagles super team,
Yep.
and just dismantled it, and
Littered
then
on fire.
proceeded to literally then proceeded to do nothing
Yep.
over with the 49ers and
Lit that on.
still has an NFL. Like, this is he just ruined two franchises,
He
and
just
he's
said, "I
still
give
getting
up. I'm
jobs in
going
the
back
NFL.
to college." He had one good year being at Ohio State. It was like, okay, now I can finally go back to the NFL. We can see how that's going.
Yeah, it was
Let
not
me
much you
just
could
say
do with
this.
Geno Smith as your quarterback, so I give him
Wait,
some credit.
let me just say, there's always drama wherever Chip Kelly goes. There's always drama.
Yes.
Right.
Because he's not good at his job. Like, and listen, I'm not saying that I would be any better, right? You know,
Honestly, I think you would be. I won't even lie.
keep it
I
in
think you would be.
If I just look,
sticks.
if I play Madden with the Raiders for like a week, I think I would be able to call a couple plays because this is crazy. Like,
I think you can just go and just put on the headset and actually just coach the Raiders, and then you'll be better than Chip Kelly.
Like, honestly, do you think? Do you know how bad Tom Brady probably wants to like come down on the field and put on the headset and see what the fuck is going on? Because the Colts owner has been doing it.
If Tom Brady put on, if he was able to listen in on the sounds that Geno Smith hears, he probably just hears Chip Kelly snoring. Like, that's probably the only thing that comes through. You know what I'm saying? So Geno Smith just takes it upon himself to call the offense himself, but he's had CTE for the last 10 years of his career. So that's never going to work. You know what I'm saying? So, and going into the draft, I was like, man, Aston Genty this, Aston Genty that. You're on the Raiders now. I want your career to fail.
Yep, that's how it is. Welcome to the club. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about a lot of guys.
You're off for the Raiders.
Yeah, but I think with. Oh, go ahead.
There is one more team that I did want to kind of talk about, right? Because this is a very weirdly competitive bad team that I think, again, is just another year for them. Shout out to my man's DJ, the New York Jets. What a weird team this year. Yeah. What a really weird team this year. A game of the year contender to start off with the Steelers. They lose that nail biter. They then proceed to just, quarterback issues, of course, when it comes to injuries and stuff like that. But then they have another like weird comeback against Tampa, but they fall short. And then the classic Aaron Glenn celebrates too early on special teams. Like, what is going on over in New York? Another team where it's just like, I think you have all the pieces to win, but you're just not doing it. Who do we blame now, at least for New York?
I mean,
everybody.
I feel like it's one of those things where, similar to, like I said, when it comes to rookie players, I kind of treat rookie head coaches the same way. This year is kind of, your first year is always, in my opinion, going to be like your floor. Like, you're coming into a situation where not all these players are your guys. You know what I mean? You're kind of figuring it out as you go. So just the fact that, we're talking about a Jets team, like, how many fucking wins did they have last year? They had 5. They had 5 wins last year. So they had, in just off of their points for and points against, like, most of these games were not very close. So the fact that, like, this year, you're talking about against good teams. It's not like they're losing. It's not like they're getting blown out by bad teams. Like, they've played the Steelers, the Bills, the Buccaneers, and the Dolphins. 3 of those 4 teams will probably be playoff teams, and 3 of those 4 teams will probably be division winners, right? So the fact, and outside of the Bills game, which the Bills have pretty much been dominating everybody so far, those games have been close. Even the Dolphins,
one-score games.
One-score games where I feel like it's just situational football. A penalty here, a drop pass there, a blown coverage there is literally the difference in them potentially being 3-1 instead of 0-4. You know what I'm saying? So it's I could definitely imagine from a Jets fan, part of it you're probably used to, but like I can see how it's frustrating that you feel like, damn, all of these games. It's a different kind of hurt when all of these games are close. Welcome to being a Chargers fan. It's just one of those things where it's like, fuck, if one of these plays went our way, or we didn't fumble on this drive, or damn, if we didn't drop this third down possession that halted that entire drive that probably would have ended in a score, we would have won this game. So, their schedule really doesn't get much easier. So, hats off to Justin Fields, right? Like he's been playing pretty good football this year. Even the game with Tyrod Taylor, he looks solid as well. So I think the pieces are there. I believe that the culture is being set. I won't have any expectations, to be quite frankly, on the Jets. I think if anything, I feel positive about the Jets. I feel like their best seasons are ahead of them, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Next, oh, sorry, but I was about to say, his next 4 games for the Jets, we got Cowboys, Broncos, Panthers, and Bengals.
Yeah.
It's actually all winnable, actually, when you think about it.
They're not being the Broncos, unfortunately. But,
Yeah.
The
other games, though.
Unless Justin Fields, which is possible, the Cowboys defense does not look very good, but that should be a game the Cowboys win. If the Cowboys are the caliber of team of which I believe, and not Super Bowl contenders, but I believe the Cowboys they're a mid team. I believe the Cowboys they can this is a game. If you are a mid team, you should be able to beat the Jets because I don't believe the Jets are a mid team. I think they on their best day, the Jets are a mid team. I believe so, but the Cowboys, I'm not saying they should blow them out, but this shouldn't be a field goal win. This should be like a 27-16 game. Like it should be something like that. You know what I'm saying? If somehow the Cowboys, I believe it would be a bigger indictment on the Cowboys if they lose this team than like holy shit, the Jets are fucking good. You know what I'm saying? The Broncos very similar. But the Panthers, I believe, are on their playing level, and same thing with the Bengals without Joe Burrow. Like I believe that the Bengals have like the best 3 players of like if you combine both those teams.
Yeah.
But I believe the Jets have a more complete team than the Bengals do.
Yeah.
Like, to be quite honest. So, but it's just you
tough.
Listen, I believe next year, another draft under the belt, they get better talent, get some more of their guys in there, that they might be cooking with something. So I agree. Like the Jets have been probably the most they're probably the most positive. I feel the most positive about like this 0-3 team over 0-4 team, should I say, compared to any other team in the league. Like, yeah, the Titans, they just dropped a crazy.
Yeah, the dud.
That's a crazy like that's going that I literally saved that in my phone. I would use that screenshot so many times.
If we keep it $1, we ass.
Yeah,
that's where we at. Yeah, no, there ain't nothing going over there
so far.
Oh god,
that's definitely Sports Graphic Hall of Fame first ballot without a doubt.
First day,
yeah.
Like we got one.
NFL season is so back. We're getting these graphics, man.
We got one. Like between because funny, crazy enough, there's only 3 teams so far that are 0-4: the Jets, the Saints, and the Titans. I believe that the Jets are the best team of those 3.
I mean, dude, they took 27-29 against Tampa, 21-27 against Miami, blowing out 10-30 loss in the Bills, and then they lose to the Steelers week 1, 32-34. So these are some good teams that they're playing, except for Miami. Praise to Tyreek Hill, man. Jesus Christ, oh my Lord. But these are some teams that they're playing. I mean, Tampa's a playoff team.
Yeah.
The Steelers are a playoff team, and they took them to 2 points. I'm just saying, man, I think we should watch out for the Jets, but they just something about them. They're missing something. Is it Justin Fields? I don't know. We got to see.
But yeah, man, I think a good way to just wrap things up is just do some like predictions for each of our teams for the games that coming up, during later this week, and just have with on top of that, basically have a matchup that you guys are keen on that's not our team. You know what I mean? And I guess I'll start it off. Obviously, Niners play the Rams on Thursday Night Football, which is tomorrow night. And I'll be honest here, the Rams are gonna kick. They're gonna kill us. They're gonna kill us. I'll be honest, right? And I guess if you give me the score prediction, I'd say 16 to 31. 16 to 31. And I guess like one matchup that I'm really, keen on watching is actually Sunday, 1 o'clock. You got Broncos and Eagles. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very good game. You got two really good defenses where two offenses where they haven't really, gotten things going, but against two top defenses, we'll see which offense can, make, more plays. And who knows, with the Eagles gonna, finally get AJ Brown the ball, he gets those cryptic tweets and all that, or will the Broncos, continue to pound on some pressure on the Chiefs and the Chargers to, keep on winning their games to, for the division. So yeah. And for that matchup, by the way, I have I'm going for upset. I have the Broncos winning by one on a field goal make.
I hope not.
I hope so. I need the Broncos to win, man. I'd help out that division.
We're on different ends of the spectrum on that one. Um, I believe so. I think you said like the next four games of our team. Um, I mean, realistically, I think we got the Commanders this week. Funny enough, I mean, for the last four games, we've given up on average 40 rushing yards from the quarterback. Um, so Jada Daniels is back. We know what he can do with his legs. Whatever your bookie has where rushing yards, take the over. That's definitely been one of the Achilles heels of this very good Chargers defense is keeping the quarterback in the pocket. That has been routinely how teams extend drives. We'll get them to third and long, and the quarterback will have a scramble, move around, and then boom, there's a long completion for first down. So, I don't think that'll be an easy game. But if I'm looking at these next four games, we got Commanders, Dolphins, Colts, and Vikings. That Vikings game scares me. That Viking game scares me because they have a good defense. They have a good D line that, you know, trust and believe if our O line is not fucking up to par by then, Brian Flores is going to be his players will be in the backfield all day long. So that's definitely the biggest game that scares me of these next four. So I feel like realistically, I think if we go 2-2, coming out of these next four games, I think 2-2, you're looking at will be what 5-3. I think we're not as comfortable of a lead on the division as we would like to. So but I feel like we're still in at that point. We would still be in the driver's seat. We still are. We still have head-to-head matchup wins against all three teams in our division. So if we just tread above water while our offensive line hopefully gets better, I think that'll be the key. But for me, the game of the week is Tampa versus Seattle. I think that has the makings of a very good game. Crazy enough, two former Panthers quarterbacks duking it out. You know what I'm saying? With Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Both of those teams seem to be clicking on all cylinders as of right now. So coming into this game, I mean, whoever wins that game, it'll say a lot about how good those teams really are because we're still in that phase of the season where we're not quite sure who are the good teams and who are the pretenders. You know what I'm saying? So definitely coming out of that game, we'll have some clear answers.
Yeah, and kind of to wrap up the things I already said earlier about the Cowboys predictions. So kind of just looking at this week, just for the NFL, the one game that I'm pretty looking at and I'm kind of excited for after looking at kind of like all these schedules is I'm looking at this Chiefs Jags game, and I never really thought that I would be talking about the Jaguars being a 3-1 team right now, but they are, and they I think this is a game where we're going to see. All right, you have a allegedly declining empire when it comes to the Chiefs, right? If the Jaguars can go in and win this game, I think we have to start talking about the Jaguars as a legitimate team.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is pretty interesting is the tale of the Jacksonville Jaguars running back. Running backs have been pretty good over in Jacksonville for these last couple of years. Where is James Robinson now? Have no idea. But he was good when he was there. What a
Jordan.
amazing running back for the time he was there. And then they had Etienne, who was doing really good, then had a fall off, and now he's back. And even so, they also got Bayshaw too, who's also been playing some pretty good football as well. They have a team, and if we're being honest, their team isn't all on 100% right now because we're seeing Brian Thomas have a really slow start to this season. And if Brian Thomas can turn that team around, turn his season around, and start playing some quality football like we all know he can play, man, we got to start talking about Jacksonville with some real, serious implications here. I mean, let's not forget this team pretty solid on the defense, the offense. That was the only question of will Trevor Lawrence be the guy? They paid him all that money, but now he has to play like it. I personally, I'm very up in the air on whether or not I like Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback because he's like the evil Justin Herbert. He all that, he's like, will he do it? I don't know, but he's just like, I don't know. There's so many emotions that I kind of have over there,
The,
especially now that they did give him that big contract.
the way people
But
talk about Justin Herbert, you would think that he's putting up the numbers that Trevor Lawrence is putting up.
And
Yeah.
listen, I always I will not lie. I make my fair share of Mister If jokes. The greatest hypothetical quarterback of all time, Justin Herbert. If maybe when perhaps he might, those are words that he's he's that guy. But unfortunately, I think he will have some success in that league, by the way. But that's besides the point. But I'm really looking forward to this game because I also want to see whether or not the Chiefs still got it. Is not. I think this is a very important prove-it game for both of these teams. Obviously, with the Chiefs, they're having some pretty big questions. Right? It seems like it's just Patrick Mahomes trying to win this game by himself. Is Travis Kelce still an elite tight end in this league? I don't really know. We can see the progression. We can see it. He's not the worst, but I don't think he has that, explosiveness that he once had anymore. And we're starting to see him slow down a little bit. And, and obviously, injuries have kind of slowed them down a lot. And they just have no running back room. I'm so sorry. I'm out on Kansas City running. Pacheco, he had that great run. I'm not sure if he's gonna, duplicate that again. And Kareem Hunt is just a red zone merchant at this point. Even though I'm still surprised to see Kareem Hunt is still a quality backup in the NFL, given for how long he's been in the league. But I think that these are both. I think this is the biggest prove it game for both of these teams at this point in the season. We're going to see if the Chiefs are still a legitimate playoff contender, and we're going to see if Jacksonville is a legitimate 3-1 team, or if they've just been derping their way to wins. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and those are all good games that we are looking forward to. Of course, our teams are where they're at right now, and it's going to be exciting how we come back out here for during the second quarter of the season, right? And if you guys haven't can tell by the title of the video, this is State of the Franchise, right? State of the Franchise. I probably should have mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but this is a segment where we're going to start doing now each quarter of the season, where whether it's 4 to 5 weeks in between each quarter. It's kind of weird now because it's 18 weeks, right? But it's just here to talk about the state of our franchise, which is whether it's the Niners, the Chargers, Cowboys, and don't worry, guys, we are from Philly, so we're gonna have some guys that are some Eagles fans. All right, so don't don't worry about that, right? But like Kai said in the beginning, very beginning, it's been a long while, right? But we wanted to come back, refresh and come back with a bang, right? What better way to talk about football? Talking about all three of our teams and other teams in the league as well, and yeah, and don't worry, we're gonna very try our best to stay on topic and stay on on task with videos uploads and all like that. We went through a whole hiatus, but But yeah, man, it's been a No Bullshit podcast. Don't make sure to like, subscribe, and share all the above. So yeah, it's been a No Bullshit podcast. We're out.